Thank you, Mr. Channing. Class of 2022, today marks an important day for you and your families. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of it by giving me the privilege to speak to you today. I am honored and so very grateful. If I may, I'd like to take a few minutes and perform an exegesis of two relevant words, graduation and commencement. Graduation is the official awarding of a degree or diploma after a successful educational experience. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "The function of education is to teach one to think intensively and to think critically. Intelligence plus character, which comes from challenges, is the goal of true education." As I look at you, I see intelligent, critical thinkers who have been shaped and molded by the experiences you had in class and out, in the Ritman and on the field. I see young men and women who are soon to be graduates who have been exposed to the truth about who Christ is and the freedom that can come from knowing him. This type of education has exposed you to a plethora of experiences. That one was for you, Darwin and Amber. Planted seeds and watered talents and prepared your souls for what's to come. But today didn't come easily. Before a reward like today, there must be labor. You plant before you harvest, and you sow in tears before you reap in joy. Theodore Roosevelt once said that it is only through labor and lachrymose effort, by grim energy and resolute courage, that we move on to better things. There was a lot of labor on your part and your families these last 18 years. Graduates, you didn't surrender and you didn't give up when things were challenging, although some of you were close. Individually, some of you had demanding courses. Others faced deaths in the family. Some had family members who you couldn't see across borders. Some of you tackled inner demons that brought you to your knees. And everyone certainly had to overcome the unexpected challenges related to COVID-19 and the many days of lockdown. But despite this unexpected vicissitude, you had persevered and made it to the end of this secondary education milestone. You've also been transformed and in the process learned things about yourself that you didn't know. You were shaped into better, more self-aware young men and women along the way. Like the protagonists you have studied in your literature courses, you were tested so that it would go well with you in the future. You were tested to build your character and faith, identify impurities in your hearts and minds, and hopefully learn to rely on God and not yourselves. You were also tested to become who God has created you to be and foster a heart within you so that you may reach out to others and love your neighbors. You were able to do this if you humbled yourselves. Trust me, I've had my fair share of this lesson, as you know. While the definition of graduation centers on the past and the actual earning of your diploma, it is also a prelude to what's to come, to better things. This leads me to the second word, commencement, a word that has two different meanings. It is the ceremony or celebration that we have all gathered here for today, but it also means the beginning of something. There are many themes that commencement speakers have drawn from and used to shape the inspiration part of their speeches. Some have said, do not let others define who you are. Learn to know thyself. Don't be afraid to fail. Change the world. Carpe diem, and so on. Today, I would like to echo these ideas, but add that you should not do it apart from him who has created you. Seek the Lord, for according to Jeremiah 29, verse 11 through 13, I know the plans he has for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. You will seek him and find him when you seek him with all your heart. Until you do so, your hearts and minds will continue to be restless, and the salubrious peace that many of you are seeking for will elude you. Once you have found him, rely on him and not your own strength. Joshua 1, verse 7 through 9 says, be strong and very courageous. Be careful to obey all the laws of the Lord. Do not turn from it to the right or to the left, that you may be successful wherever you go. Do not let his word depart from your mouth. Meditate on it day and night, so that you may be careful to do everything written. Then you will be truly prosperous and successful, not necessarily in a worldly way, but in a way that is pleasing and fragrant to God. Allow him to define and shape you. Don't worry about failure, for there will be much of that. And as you already know, that is the case. Instead, lean on the fact that God builds on our failures and undoes our shame in the process. Be bold as you move forward, not arrogantly, but rather humbly. Find where your gifts or talents and his purpose for you meet. Your life should not revolve around your passion. That is dangerous. It should not be about you. Find a purpose in the Lord. When you find that gifting and his purpose for your life, then you'll experience pure joy, and the work of your hands will not drain you, but rather fortify and energize you. Lastly, Proverbs 13, verse 20 declares that he who walks with wise men will be wise, but the companion of fools will be destroyed. As you start the next stage of your journey, I want to tell you to be open to wise, godly mentors and confidants as you have been here, and allow them to speak truth into your lives. Be willing to accept their instruction and guidance, as they will help orient and ground you, for only fools despise instruction and the wisdom that comes from it. This advice holds true for all of us, young and old. Just as you will hopefully be shaped by human guidance and active godly direction, so too have your teachers and mentors. Just as this is the final ceremony for you at Concordia, it is also the final one for the departing teachers. Know that we all love you and have so enjoyed being a part of your journey and your lives. May God bless each of you from here on out. Thank you. Shishya. Kamsamnida.
Thank you, Ms. Dietliff. I can only say thank you and amen. Parts of your speech were so inspirational, we played them twice. As we move on to our next speaker, our senior, bringing us to our senior reflection, the same honor falls upon Ellie Wong to be chosen from her peers to speak to them, to speak for them, has to be one of the greatest honors. Ellie, I know you probably have a lot of awards, a lot of recognitions on your mantle. I would place this right next to some of the most meaningful ones. For those who know Ms. Wong, for those who know her successes on the courts, multiple courts, her successes in the classroom and outside the classroom, I've come to appreciate and I've become to be humbled by her as a leader in her role as Stuco, as our co-president of Stuco. I found her to be a servant leader and I've never seen her with nothing but a smile on her face. It is my honor to recognize Ellie Wong as to bring our senior reflection. Ms. Wong, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chowning, and thank you, Mrs. Dietliff, for your wise words. Good morning, Concordia administration, faculty, families, friends, and fellow graduates. It is my great honor to speak before you today to celebrate the conclusion of the class of 2022's high school journey and reflect on our experiences as a grade up until this point. When I came to Concordia in 6th grade, I vividly remember my first ever assignment in Mr. Alfano's grade 6 humanities class, which was called What's Going On in This Picture? It was a simple task designed to help us think critically and creatively. We were given a photograph and tasked with assessing the image's contents, using who, what, when, where, and why to describe it. As my time at Concordia comes to an end, I wanted to bring it back full circle, ending how I started with one last what's going on in this picture, with the picture in question being all of us together on this Zoom screen, the graduating class of 2022. Let's start off with why. Why have all of us taken the time out of our Saturday morning to be here? Well, there's the obvious, of course, to get our diplomas and finally be done with high school. At the same time, many of us are also here to see our classmates one last time before we each move on to different paths, to gain some mental and emotional closure before proceeding into a new chapter of our lives. As for where we are and when it is in this picture, well, it's about time we address the elephant in the virtual room. A Zoom graduation ceremony, and all of second semester for that matter, certainly isn't what any of us initially envisioned for ourselves. With classmates in Taiwan, Hong Kong, Korea, and some even across the globe in America, it's definitely harder to feel the same sense of unity that we would in any other regular year, having graduation in the school gym. These past few months have certainly been hard on many of us. We've had so many things taken from us, be it APAC, prom, club events, or in-person Olympic week. However, our senior year was in no way a waste. Lockdown doesn't negate the good times and memories we've made throughout the past 4 years. Though it's a little ironic knowing that we are the first graduating class to go through lockdown twice, I think this only further speaks to our resilience and unity as a grade. Hopefully, at least in this one instance, seeing each other's faces can be a source of comfort to everyone. Even if we are all in different places, the identity, experiences, and bond that we share as members of the class of 2022 will not be broken. Speaking of experiences, this brings me to the next step in analyzing this picture. What exactly are we celebrating today? These past 4 years have been full of ups and downs for all of us, and it's absolutely commendable that we've all finally made it. As we reflect on everything that's happened throughout high school, of course, there are some things that immediately come to mind. Whether it be laboring over NHD, attending Phoenix Fridays, theater productions, HOCO, or going on tribes, these are some of the big events that we know and love. At the same time, it's even more important to mention the smaller moments that we experience at Concordia, the bits and pieces of everyday school life that by themselves may not seem like much, normal, mundane even, but as a collective are what truly helped shape and define our high school experiences. Visiting Irie in the high school office to chat, huddling with friends on the field to cheer on our soccer teams, cracking jokes while standing in line for lunch, playing games of KCC in PE class. These are just a few of many hidden gems and highlights of our time at Concordia, which deserve to be appreciated and treasured too. We're also here to celebrate the lessons we've learned. Freshman bio taught us that water is polar, and the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. Ninth grade humanities made us question if humans are inherently evil and if power leads to corruption. Geometry class taught us the importance of proofs, and accelerated chem taught us how to deal with failure when it came to titrations in magnesium oxide practical labs. Mr. Kennedy taught us how to hip historical documents. Mr. Paulson taught us that the supply curve is upward sloping and demand is downward, and not the other way around. Whether it be polynomials, color theory, stoichiometry, or cooking in the kitchen with our Chinese and Spanish classes, these lessons have helped us reach where we are today. More importantly, though, we've learned the importance of service and leadership. We've hopefully learned what it's like to love learning, and we've learned how to deal with change and remain resilient in the face of uncertainty. This brings us to the final question to be answered. Who? Everyone always says that the best part about Concordia is its community, and I wholeheartedly agree. The two go hand in hand, like Mr. Gordon and his plaid shirts, or Mrs. Dietliff's and her scent diffuser. We see this through our parents who are here with us today, who have sacrificed so much for us and always want what's best for us. We have our teachers and coaches who have guided us during our time here and who we've come to appreciate not just as instructors, but on a personal level as well. And of course, we have each other. Each individual in the class of 2022 is so wonderfully talented, inspiring, and driven in their own unique way, which is why I genuinely mean it when I say it has truly been such an honor and a privilege to have grown up alongside you all. Peers who started out in concert band and strings became first chairs. Peers who used to diss poetry in English 10 learned to love it in AP Lit. And peers who were timid in freshman year blossomed in senior year, with countless others among us who have undergone equally remarkable transformations. Witnessing this makes me so incredibly proud to call myself your classmate. Our grade is made up of scholars, artists, athletes, actors, musicians, optimists, pessimists, introverts, extroverts, and thousands of more attributes that I could list. Yet, regardless of who you are, when you came to Concordia, whether that was in preschool or just in the past couple years, or how involved you've been in school, what we have in common is that we are all equally a part of the class of 2022. No matter who you are, no matter who we are all one of 73. And that's something special, something to be proud of. I suppose at this point, you're probably all wondering about that assignment I mentioned at the beginning of this speech. After all that I brought up, have we actually answered our question? Ultimately, what is going on in this graduation picture? Well, when I look at everyone here today, here's what I see in the picture before me. I see a graduating class who will go on to do great things in the future. I see our fellow classmates who will continue to thrive and grow as individuals. I see a group of bright, funny, weird, creative, and exceptional people who I love and value so, so much. Perhaps this will be the last time all of us will be in the same picture together. The thought of this used to sadden me. But you know what? I'm okay with it now. I'm okay with it because I know that the bond we have shared and the memories we've made will transcend any amount of distance or time. And who knows? Maybe we will defy expectations and indeed all cross paths again, ending up in each other's pictures once more. Regardless of what happens to us in the future, I hope that our time together at Concordia will be ingrained within your hearts, as I'm sure it will be in mine. So, to the class of 2022, here's to the memories we've made, the laughs we've shared, and the bonds we've forged. From the bottom of my heart, I'm endlessly grateful to you and wish you all nothing but the best. Happy graduation, everyone.
And for my second amen, I thank you, Ellie. That was insightful and appreciative. Here at Concordia, we have a few long-standing traditions. The first is our senior acknowledgement, where we recognize a few of our graduates for a unique accomplishment. We call this, again, our early childhood senior acknowledgement. In a sense, it's a lifetime achievement award for a particular group of students, 3, who have been at Concordia their whole career. They started in either kinder, preschool, or preschool, and they've been here to this day. I'd like to recognize the following. First, joining Concordia in 2010 is Selena Morse. It is absolutely, hey Selena, it is absolutely amazing that you have been gracing the halls of this campus for, I think it's 12.5 years. And so for that, we thank you. One of the most thoughtful and one of the most giving students that we've ever had. For that, I thank you. Joining her just before that, just a little bit before that, is Miss Allison Dye. Allison Dye joined us in 2009. That gives her around 13 years. It's also amazing that your fingerprints and your footprints and your paintbrush tips, is that right?